I'm going to get more into seeing this greener-eyed lion. A lot of different guys get it. It's actually stems from something way back in the day with Zeus being snared in by a big old Bop, catching them on their feet doing something. And it's kind of like a side quest they kind of go into, and it's like Bop's ass. And they agree, like a bet, if they do this and they're caught and such, and Bop puts it on paper, they have to take 3 shreddings and kind of go into the big bang of nature, just like every other nature god, and hold the lines against guys like Zeus after crossing the line. What you'll see too is it's called uprooted hell or tomb. And Big Boy is chosen for the job by the Majesty to hold down Zeus by his own hands, snare him in. The lion comes to big old Bop. He chains him in. And they also get him on what they call their sin there, because they also did something bad. They see it as a quest they can just blow through to and kind of take it lightly and go in on Bop's ass. And it's like a strip quest. But what they're actually looking in is the Battle of the Pirates, and something they've been just putting so much weight into, and it sucks. Dropping way down there with a big rock. And it's part of the Majesty and the pirates fighting for the little towns on the coast. And you got guys like big old Pan flaring it up there, greasing out cunt. Cunt is like lightweight after tossing them out. They're like lightweights by temptation. Same thing here by gambling or drugs. It's different back then. They're uprooting too. It's an uprooted mission. And they send in the toughest lion they can. And not only that, the lion gets in. He's young. He's snared by his own feet. And they also come back. They've done something wrong. The gods are also wrong about stuff. They're making mistakes too. Zeus has a god by its scruff, and it's the sun god, and the lion's taking care of it, and he thinks he's got it by its scruff, and it's making mistakes. And they're in the deadlock and snared in, hanging guys that hang so long as gods in the deadlock. They got the head in there. The time goes by, and they're living another life. And then they did something wrong. Now they got to come back into the future, past and future there too. Going back and forth, trying to fix it out and learn. They got to take 3 shreddings there. The old school shreddings, like a lot of the tough nature gods get, and it's big bar snare. And Bop's holding them in by their own hands. They got them on paper. And Bop's also in the stone heavyweights. He's got a lot of stone. And he's running things as the king, and old Willard's in the side there. And they're going to hang hard. And he stones the lion in. And they're back and forth too, because that's a mission they kind of thought they could blew through. And they end up snared and weight pumping in. And Willard's with this too as a side quest. Sisyphus is Willard. True stuff. And the weight's coming in. They just pumped in so much weight, and it's something they want to white out. And out west here now, in the modern time, Bop is 33 years in. Now they're really feeling the weight. It's big bar snare just pulling them down, and everything's kind of for the shitters there. It's going underwater, it's sinking, and it's squeezed harder. That's why they're picking Cali, and Bop's taking it up north, making them feel the weight up north, and the iceberg's coming down in the shredding. Think of the weight in that. And then Big Bop evolves with the nature side there on the little side quest with the Big Bang. And you're going to learn with the Big Bang Bopper, you're way out the field, and you're stuck on stupid when you're going that fast. And you think, hey, I was stuck on stupid all that time, white it out. Imagine thinking in those seconds and getting power, but no one's like that. And Bop is leaving him on this and that. And he's right out the ballpark. Because you're out the ballpark with a big bang, you're on stupid, and now you're really feeding them the bops. Stemming from a time when they're just pumping money in the ships and pirates, and there's the old dyke pirate man slapping the bars out there, and they're up against the pirates, and Shook is just a hook out there they're using, and they're giving them the patches, and there's such a sharp hook, they're cutting their hands off up against them with swords, and it's the boys from the whited out big leagues they call in, the big old devils there too. And Bop'Z in very solid too. They're pumping at a lot of stone of weight by now, even dropping in the underworld, just to look these guys face to face and keep them in the snare too. It's killing more birds in one stone than they think, a lot of weight. And they got the flintlock rifles back then that were coming in, and they're up against the pirates, same thing. Till this day, they're still pumping in weight. And now it's up to Bop'Z breaking out the Big Bang as a bopper and Killer Cali, and the squeeze is coming in. And literally it hits them so hard, they're assed out. Even the gods are getting assed out in their shreddings, taking the backhand hits, no matter how big it is, like a muscle devil. And Bop'Z sent in. Bop'Z assed out Leatherface, and they were licking their lips for old Willard, and they were dragging him out, right? Bop didn't flop out, where a lot of army boys are failing the test. They're squeezed out by old Tom. They're burning hard. They even burn the cards. And they think they hold rights with all these other men as the tough guys. The next thing you know, Officer's White in there too, and Tom, even for the gods, and they feared Tom. That's the funny thing. Bop took a shredding with Tom in there. And now watch out, because when he comes back, he's Super Tom, racking him up in big bar snare with a bopper, making it look easy. Even Leatherface took the hit. It was tossed aside, his head blown apart with the nade hitting. That's the big bopper. So now they're really starting to feel the weight, sweat, and Zeus is face to face with Bop in there. That's also holding them down in the old tomb. The gods, once they're in the deadlock and they're hanging there and they got themselves locked in there, they go on to hang for many years and have different lives, and they're literally in the deadlock. They're kind of whited out, and then they got to come back because the gods made mistakes, and then they learn, hey, they're in there shredding anyways. They got to take it, just like the old nature gods holding the lines against gods like Zeus that made it, and they're shredding and they're pumping huge irons in with their Trojans and their Romans and the Greeks, the Spartans coming in. And then they learn Pop's got 300 rock stone coming in for the barrier protection, assing them out with it, snaring them. The big bopper shredding, and the iceberg's coming through, and they learned even shredding through like Bop, the iceberg's too big, it's big old Bop's ass. And they go into it thinking Bop's a dyke like RBL. They're banging the bars out hard, setting this big old snares low and slapping them out. But what they learned is they took Bop light, and now it's just to the point where there's just so much weight that's been pumped into it, and Willard took a backhand hit too. They got to feel the masters in now of the Western world, and Bop's 33 deep, just making them buckle. Same thing, Jesus can take a lot. Is kind of one of the gods' buddies there, is like not machine, one of the true sons, not tainted. The gods make old Jesus buckle and hang him on the cross and take the shredding just like them, just to show they're tough, and they'll keep doing it and they'll hang. And a big strong man was chosen from Big Bar Snare, and they think they can just take the easy way and ass it out and put it in the shredders, but that builds up the weight. And not only that, they're wrong, they're back in. Now Zeus is really taking the debt. And these are big boys that like the tug, same thing, a lot of weight, holding them in, and they're snared too, and they chip and pick away at it. Zeus is going to be very butthurt, greener-eyed, jealous too. He's got that power, and not only that, it's going to be another 9 months, even a lot longer than that. And you're getting the green-eyed lion looking at you, showing the blessings after too, that they say in the jungle that they love. It's also on the menu, God's menu. A lot of other people love it too, like the drink and herb. God is doing that. As long as it's on the menu, most people will like it too, like Airheads. And Bop's going deeper than that, like a funnel coming down. And he's still holding in Zeus, and they're kind of getting to know each other too. And Zeus messed up something, snared in the grease trap, walked in by his own feet where they can't even see him good. And now he's down under with Bop, and they got to take Uprooted where it burns. And the lion is also made for this as a hot shot called in with the gods. They're sweating, and now they're feeling the weight, and Big Boy's in solid. And he's also in the hang, in the deadlock, hanging Uprooted. You step into that boat, you got to come in and feel the energy now. and you're going to feel Zeus. Everything inside him, big boy that's snared and big boy shredded like the big muscle devils, locked in the prison with Zeus now for the hard hang with the strongest lion they can get, and father of the different gods and messengers. And Zen, watch out now too, because your Zen's going and big boy's good with that too. That's where they're taking a hit with their karma and their false claims. And a lot of people are belittling literate, have hubris issues too. It's the old apes. And then they come in with the big bang and they hit your shredders just because of the domination issues with the gods, and they're trying to hide something too. They done something with sin and sexual sin. And even though they went on to live a different life in the deadlock, Zeus comes back, says, hey man, I learned a lot in hell. And they're still down there. And they got to take it, and the weight is just pumping up. The ship is coming down. It's shredded, but it's just sinking them like an iceberg. Right, so not only that, it teaches them same thing. They wake up, and it's going to be 24 plus for big boy in the shredding there, and they're really starting to sweat. They thought it was bad. Now big boy's just dogging them out. That's a funny thing. When it's too easy, Big Bop comes in with a big bop bang, and they thought they could just toss Bop out with hubris issues and false claims and belittling and shaming and blaming. But they end up in the shredders in upheaval, and Bop is eating burgers, smoking herb, and green is good, and drinking a little bit, get a few Caesars in, just because he went through and did the mission. And as guys like Putin Nuclear on the witch hunt, there's the cult. They're grabbing their balls after Russian nuclear. There is Prussia, right? Just because all the tough Putin nuclear talk, Bop came up and he grabbed his balls just to start the talk. And Putin said, okay, son, go. Bop had Putin right by the balls, and now Bop is just doing it to grab Putin's balls because he sees Putin's an apehead making false claims. Way out the ballpark of Putin and the Big Bang. So never try to underestimate that. You got a hubris issue, you'll be tossed in with the tough guys at Big Bar Snare, where they bring the average big man to his knees, just trying to hold into the lion face to face, uprooted. And then they run into one of the kings. In this case, a lot of gods get to walk away, do what they do to get ahead, steal. A lot of them are gamblers. Uprooting like Pan, constant light wages, greasing them out, stacking up, and that pressure is up. They like a good hard pull too, until she's ashed out and they're in solid, right? So the gods will make you tap, but the gods cannot always walk away. And the big tough talk, they have to take their shredding like they snared the nature gods and did to the nature gods by hubris issues and upheaval, just living within the stone heavyweights and keeping up with that 33 deep. You think it's easy, but it's easier said than done. And even Jesus buckles under the weight of the young gods.